Hello, and welcome to another week of the Hogs Happy Hour here on Four Star Sports Media. We want to thank you for joining us this week, whether it be on Facebook, YouTube, or on X. Uh, if you're on Facebook, give us a like and a share. We sure do appreciate that. And also, please send us those stars on Facebook. If you're on X, just reshare or retweet, whatever they call it nowadays, on there. And YouTube, you need to like and subscribe to the Four Star Sports Media page. All right, all that helps us out tremendously. All right, so as always, I'm Blake, and I'm joined uh, with Ashton and Jason. So, fellas, what's up?
Dude, pretty good day for be a Razorback fan,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah,
Yesterday, pretty good
yeah.
week
Oh
to
yeah,
be a
it's a good
Razorback
week.
fan.
Yeah, the
Oh,
week started out rough. We was expecting some coaches to get fired, and when no news broke, we were, Monday afternoon, we were very depressed, I'll tell you that. But the news quickly turned around. All right, so um, last night was a very, very great night for Arkansas basketball. Jason was actually one of the 20,322 in attendance, so we'll get his thoughts on Bud Walton Arena here in a few minutes. Let me get so so Arkansas defeated number 7 ranked Duke 80-75 last night. So we'll start with Ashton on just your general thoughts about the game.
I thought the crowd definitely made a huge difference. Record crowd of what was I think you may have already said it.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
to take my cam off.
yeah.
20,000 folks,
20.
20,000.
Yeah,
344, something like that.
yeah.
And I think it was pretty impressive because you had three really big time recruits in the audience who witnessed that. I think a lot of people also were anticipating, and actually, I think all three of us even anticipated Bobby Petrino showing up to the game, and like prophets, uh, he was at the game, sitting right beside Coach Pittman, and man, our team I will say this for the Razorback team: we must needed that win. Um, we needed something to build our confidence. Now, granted, it was at home, but there's a lot of teams who could play at home 100 times against Duke and not beat Duke once. So to win that game against in fact, some of the players on that team were part of that team that beat us in the Elite Eight last year or Sweet 16. I
Yeah.
think it was the Elite Eight. Uh, So, or it was big deal for our program. And dude, I don't even think we stormed the court because we were excited that we beat Duke. I think we stormed the court because it was just a good week to be a Hog fan.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
It was
All
also
right, Jason.
Muss's 100th U of A win.
100.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, we played great, played excellent. I mean, felt in control the entire game. It got a little scary at the very end there where they had the press, and we
Yeah.
we could not break the press at all. It was
Whew.
uh,
Yeah.
turned the ball over and just letting them score, and they got back within five. But uh, coach put in Old Faithful and Devo Davis, and he broke the press at the end of the game for us. And but I mean, the overall atmosphere, you couldn't ask for more. It was an eight. It was a late tip off. It was an 8:20, 8:25 tip off on a Wednesday,
Hmm.
and I mean, people were there in their seats well before the original tip off time.
Yeah. Some of the things I was excited about, Jason, was the the um, the fact that when they interviewed Coach Shire at halftime, they were asking him questions, and Coach Shire
Yeah.
couldn't hear what was even being
Yeah.
said. It
Yeah.
was that loud.
Speaking of that, I have that on video. So for folks that didn't see it, like Jason, he was at the game. This is what Coach John Shire had to experience at halftime.
Chris Budden is with Duke coach John Shine.
Coach, as loud as an atmosphere as you might find in college basketball, how have you guys handled it?
I didn't say that one more time.
It's loud in here. How have you guys handled the atmosphere?
So yeah, the reporter had to literally lick his ear in order for him to hear that question. So
that impressed me. And then the other thing that impressed me was Coach Musk got a win, and even with the win, he was excited about the win. You could tell he was excited. But like even he, with the win, said, "I can guarantee you one thing: we're going to work on how to beat a press break."
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was impressed with. And he was excited about the win, but he understood also things that like you learn as a great coach. Even with a win, you still have things you can work on to get better. And when Devo came in, I said to Blake, I said, "Well, Devo hasn't been in a while. Layden Blocker's in, and he's played hard all game, but he can't. He's not handling the press. And normally, I coached basketball for first 2 or 3 years of my teaching career, and when we worked on beating a press, one of the things that we'd work on beating the press with was the dribble, or not the dribble, but the pass. Pass. Clearly, that was our problem. Our issue was that we needed to dribble. We needed to dribble out of the press and to make them foul us. We just weren't doing a very good job of that.
yeah, Blocker being a freshman, that moment might have been too big for him. So it's good to see Devo go in, even though Devo kind of sat on the bench, kind of most of the second half.
I mean, he did get his eye kind of gashed open there at one point.
I don't know if it was because of injury or just because of how the game was going. Devo just didn't need to be out there, but it was good to, he could come off the bench and, save us from a disaster because we were up 12 with 2 minutes left, I think.
Our bench was great last night. I think we had, 36 points, 36, 9 points off the bench.
Yeah.
We did all this without our leading scorer.
Yeah, it was good to see the team kind of just came to life. Something that we desperately needed, and the announcers do it too, is that we desperately needed L. Ellis to show up.
Mm-hmm.
L. Ellis had not scored a point in what was it, 4 games, and for him to come in and he started making some shots, getting to the rim. And the big thing for me is L. Ellis was making some shots, and also not turning the ball over. He's a better ball player than he's played the last 3 games. And I said that he had just been terrible, had been awful. Finally we get what we expected out of him. I don't expect him to score 20 points a game, but boy, we need that 8 to 10 from him, and we need a facilitator. Devo's a role player. I think people are figuring out more and more that Devo's a role player. I would rather the game not be on his shoulders, and for him to come in and to sustain, help sustain a win. And then, I'll tell you, we have to have Trevon Brazile. We have to have him and Caleb Battle play well each night. We have to. So we actually got everything we needed. But I did find out one thing. I think Bayfall is going to be a good ball player in the future because he plays hard. He's not a scorer right now. Obviously, you saw him get rebounds last night. He did not look at the basket. He got the rebound and he's passing out. He's getting rid of it as quick as he could. But Layden Blocker, I think, is going to be special. He's a special ball player, and I'm glad that he is getting so much experience. Think about that, true freshman. That we didn't. We had 3 great true freshmen last year, but I didn't think that we would have a true freshman come in this year and get as much playing time as Layden Blocker's gotten. Man, he has not let me down, with the exception of a few poor decisions last night during the press break.
Yeah, outside of Tremont Mark, our new guys, Blocker's probably the second best one out of all those transfers we got.
He's going to be fun. He's going to be fun to watch come around February.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead. All right. I was just looking at some stats. I think something that gets lost is I mean, yeah, they scored 75 points, but our defense held them to 35.8% shooting. So
Yeah. See, I you know what? I feel bad now. I would feel remiss not to mention Lawson's name. Um,
yes,
Dude, he's an undersized. I'm sorry, he's an undersized forward, but he makes the most of his opportunities. And if you're looking for him to impress you, I don't think it's going to happen. But if you're looking for a guy who is going to get you a couple big blocks a game, some important rebounds, and maybe make a shot or two here and there, Chandler Lawson's your guy. And I don't know what it is. We go back to the exhibition game where he had to cover Edie, and
yeah,
whatever it is, he just rises to the occasion sometimes.
yep.
I didn't see it down in the battle for Atlantis. I just think that was just I don't know what it was. It just every time we play these early season tournaments, it just doesn't treat us well.
Well, it's almost like they're on a vacation. I mean, they're in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I mean, are
Yeah,
they really
true.
focused on basketball?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. That's a fair point. And a lot of people could say, well, that's all the teams down there on vacation. Well, yeah, perhaps, but inside the states, Arkansas under Coach Musselman has just played tough basketball, and I didn't feel like we looked tough down in the Bahamas.
I mean, with the Duke game, he actually had multiple days to prepare for it. Whereas in the Battle for Atlantis, I mean, you have no time. You have less than a day to turn around and play another team. You don't know who you're playing, so you don't really know who to prepare for. If I get it out of my mouth.
Don't take anything away from Duke, man. They're
good.
Dude, they're good. They're well coached. Coach Shire is a heck of a coach. I mean, heck, he was a heck of a player under Coach Krzyzewski back in the day. And I mean, it's like Duke has picked right up where Coach Krzyzewski left off. Our coach, I call him Krzyzewski, Coach K. Yeah. Coach K left off, and they were down 10-12 with a minute and 11 seconds left, and almost were in a position to win the game, or to tie it. Mm-hmm. So all credit goes to them. They don't quit, and I expect it for them to run, have a deep run to the tournament this year.
Our free throw shooting down the stretch there was getting a little worrisome. We're hitting 50% at the last minute or two of the game.
Yeah, if there's one complaint I had, I think we finished the night with 63% from the line. Mm-hmm. That's not. What's up, man? Tuss Talk, Ty, man. I freaking love your show, brother. Love your show. Great stuff. Appreciate you tuning in. Really enjoy it. So keep up the good work. But, we got to be able to shoot the free throws down the stretch and put the game away. Blake made a great point to me last night, texting me. He goes, we build these leads, and we always find a way, it seems like, to not put a team away. We just let them creep back into the game, whether it be a stupid pass, a stupid shot. There was a shot last night. I think it was Ellis. I don't know. It may have been Ellis. Took a shot, and just Coach Musselman just turned around and just absolutely smokes the scorer's table. I mean, just lights that scorer's table. Mm-hmm. Either he broke his hand or the table was cracked a little bit. But Muss just gets after it, and boy, I just feel great. I feel like under Coach Musselman, no matter who we play, whether we win or lose, I feel like we have a chance to win the game.
Well, I mean, he has a passion, for basketball.
Absolutely.
But you also know he has passion now that's on the coaching staff. Bobby Petrino.
That's right. Yes, sir. So I'm excited right now. We were, I think even Ty would agree, listening to us, Arkansas fans were I felt like we were all in like a rut for the past couple weeks, but there was like no life in this fan base. And then the moment Petrino's name even creeps in anybody's mind, it's like there's hope, right? Everybody is back on the bandwagon, and who knows what happens next year? But at least over the next 9 months, you don't feel like you're walking into a season next year where you're just going to get trucked by everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and the coffee was a little bit stronger, and the air outside was a little bit crisper, and I could breathe a little bit better, and it's all because of these last 2 days. These last 2 days, the past past 4 months, 3 months of basketball, I mean, a football season, it's been awful, you know.
Yeah.
But those last 2 days have.
I just like listening. I love it whenever, the first thing I do after a football game is, yeah, content was going to be depressing. Yeah, the first thing I do after a football game is the moment the game's over, I'm going to YouTube and I click on, because I subscribe to Ty. I click on my subscriptions and I'm just waiting for Ty to turn on his podcast or his live stream. Just want to hear him say, "Well, I'm not gonna. I won't say it on here, but man, that was a crap show." So we're like a beta blocker that couldn't stop anything from a heart attack from happening. It was just brutal to watch this year. No passion, but I promise you one thing: we may go 0-12 next year, but at least if we don't do something right offensively, Petrino will absolutely light someone up on the sideline. I'd love to. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to give the floor to Jason because, a lot of the national media has even talked about just how rowdy Bud Walton Arena was last night. And he was one of the 20,000 that was there. So he's the one that has firsthand experience. So we're just going to let him talk.
Well, it was a very rowdy and loud experience. Far more louder than the Auburn game a couple years ago, where I think that's probably like the number 2 or number 3 most attended game. Fans got there on time and in their seats well before tip-off. If you go to any of these games, you know that is very rare. Most people are still out tailgating or hanging around waiting for traffic to die down to actually get to the game. No, this game, everybody was in their seats ready for this tip-off. I got to hand it to the students. The students did an incredible job. Bud Walton feeds off the energy of the students, and I'm sure the students they had their section full, and they had a good part of the upper deck for just them. At one point, the little DV meter they put on the screen, don't know how accurate those numbers are, but this first time I've ever seen it go over 100. Granted, I've never seen that at a football game. I gotta give it to the old people. The old people were there screaming.
It was well past their bedtime too.
But it's for an 8:30, 8:20 tip-off on a Wednesday night to have over 20,000 people show up for a game. That's unheard of. I mean, that's the middle of the work week. I didn't get home till after 1 o'clock in the morning. I had to get ready for work 6:30 in the morning. So I'm not the only one that had to do that, but these people showed up. The university did a great job creating a good atmosphere. They did a good job trying to keep fans engaged. There was one point where the student section, there was a bad call, and of course boos rained down from everywhere. But the announcer actually told the student section to be quiet because there was a little kid doing a little game that's on the big screen. They were booing, but it looks like they were booing the kid. But I can honestly say I felt the ground shake multiple times throughout that night.
Yeah.
Man, Terrion Burgess, there were, like I said, there were 3 big recruits. Terrion Burgess, kid from my neck of the woods here in Benton. He, I think he was quoted as to saying that, man, I just wanted to get out there and play. I just wanted to get in the game. And then you had Jacob Lanier from Maumelle. And then you had, I believe there was another kid, 6'7", I think 250 pounds.
From Owasso, Jalen.
Owasso, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Jalen Monta. I don't know.
I want to say it's Monterey or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So, for them to be a part of that, and And Ty said that poor kid. Yeah. That poor kid. Yeah. The announcer getting on them. I think that's hilarious. But
well, I mean, there was one point where a fan had got into the ear of the referee, I guess, pretty bad. And the referee had enough of it and went over there and spoke to him for about
it was
something.
after.
Yeah, it was after the Trevon Brazile foul.
Yeah.
Where he pushed him.
Foul.
Yeah. On replay, he didn't push him, but that's what the crowd was upset about. But before that, there was another bad call. I don't quite remember.
Oh yeah,
what
it was the foul call underneath where the big player got hurt.
He rolled his ankle.
Yeah, he rolled his ankle, but we didn't. They showed the replay. We didn't touch him. He just went up and then rolled his ankle when he came down. But I texted Blake during that moment whenever he went over there, and I said these officials need to worry about officiating and tuck their ears in. Like, I mean, let's be honest. He could have went to any number of fans throughout that game who probably said something to him, but instead he chose that moment. Yeah. It's not about you as an official. It's not. It's not about you. If you can't handle the moment, maybe that's not what you need to do.
And I saw the official list, before the game, and I knew we were going to have some questionable calls with Doug out there, and
I'm assuming they were
Doug Showoff.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they were SEC refs for this game.
Now basketball doesn't really have conference refs, right? They just have regional refs, right?
Do they?
I couldn't tell you. It sounds right, but I don't know.
Yeah, but
about halftime, the whole crowd was chanting Bobby, and that continued throughout the second half. But it does make sense why they didn't bring him down here to introduce him or anything. He's the offensive coordinator. He's not the head coach. We don't do that for any other coordinator that we have.
Yeah. That's fair. I think that's right.
All right. Any closing thoughts on the basketball game last night?
Who do we got next, Blake? I am curious. Who do we got next?
Furman.
It's a great point. We got Furman Monday. Yeah. Furman is projected to win their conference. A little trivia question here. Do you know who is picked to finish second in their conference?
Oh, boy.
It's a team that we played.
Bucknell. UNC Greensboro.
Yeah,
UNC Greensboro, who beat us, So
interesting.
So Monday's game is interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting game. So I look forward to that. Hey, Furman, I think played us tough last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can't just go and overlooking them, looking at Oklahoma.
No. Yeah.
No, we are in no position to overlook anybody.
Yeah.
So intensity is what we need.
And also, we didn't mention it earlier. Mark is out. Don't know for how long. Honestly, I don't want him to be rushed back in. Musselman said on the radio it is originally his back, but it has now kind of gone to his groin area. So it seems it may be 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even longer. But
let him rest before conference play starts.
Yeah. We'll see, but good win, and hopefully we carry some momentum into next couple of games.
Yeah. All right, not like Arkansas football had any news this week. I mean, it's just the end of the season. There's no bowl game, so. But yes, there was news. Arkansas officially hired Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. Former head coach Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. We had a special show on Tuesday night when this news started to break, so we've already kind of broke it down some, but there was a interesting interview with the Hogs Plus about Bobby Petrino. So here's a clip from that show
that I know, and this past season, I went into A&M, and Jimbo wanted to keep his terminology, and I didn't sleep for months. It was hard. It was studying every night, trying to figure this out. Why are we calling it this way? But I have an offense that I'm very familiar with and understand inside and out, and calling it will be much easier and going quicker. And The players are going to have to work hard at understanding it, but we'll have a processed approach to installing it and learning it. And we'll.
So yeah, we said Tuesday that we thought Jimbo was kind of holding him back some, but so that kind of confirmed it right there.
Yeah, and I want to say that Bobby wasn't saying that just to throw Jimbo under the bus. I think it was more just saying what it was. Is hey, I brought you in, but I still want you to use this terminology. And Petrino did his best to adjust to it, and ultimately, I don't think it was a horrible adjustment. I mean, it's not like they had a losing record. They're in a bowl game. They didn't have a great record. I mean, 7-5. I wish we were 7-5. Then again, if we were 7-5, Bobby Petrino may not be here.
Yeah.
So, I think Pittman gives him total control of the. You let Bobby do what Bobby does, which I'd like to see the way he was doing things at Missouri State when he played us. Boy, he had that sucker rolling, almost beat us. Just kids who look comfortable. Kids who look comfortable in his offense in his schemes and moving at his pace. And then I'm also excited about this. I'm also excited that recruits that we're coming off a 4-8 year, but I think these recruits on the outside looking in kind of have a different feeling about Arkansas right now, knowing good and well what Bobby Petrino has accomplished in the past. And it's not like Bobby Petrino was a coach at a small Division II school this past year. He was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. So let's not forget that. It's not like he was in some old school. He was at the Texas A&M.
Yep. All right, before Jason speaks, I'm going to bring in another Jason. So let's see. All right. All right, got Jason Pattison. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can, guys.
All right. How's it going, Jason? Thanks for joining us. What are your thoughts
Hey, no
on
problem.
Bobby Petrino?
Well, honestly, from the get go, whenever I first heard of this from Chris Lowe and his, are you guys able to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, okay, great. So when I first saw the tweet from Chris Lowe, my first thought was, is Vince McMahon in the athletic department pulling some strings on this? Because I mean, this is very reminiscent of some WWE storyline stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
But
For sure.
I like the move and the fact that Bobby has put a year in as an OC in the SEC versus getting him off of a stint at Louisville or a stint at Western Kentucky and then jumping back in, or Missouri State for that matter. You're getting him coming off of a full year back in the SEC. Defense is different than what they were when he was here 12 years ago.
Yes.
10 years ago. And so he's had a full year to adapt to, what schemes were working well at A&M, what schemes were not working well against certain teams. Now, the landscape does change a little bit with bringing Texas and Oklahoma into play, and you also have. Oops, sorry about that, y'all. I'm in my car here. One of the things that he has the luxury of next year is not facing Alabama. That's going to be something that's huge, something that Arkansas hasn't had the luxury of dealing with in the last 17 years.
Yeah,
So
that is big.
You exchange that for Texas, but by God, I'll take Texas over Alabama any day of the week. One, because of the rivalry, and two, you know that's not going to be an automatic L that's going to be on your schedule next year.
Yeah, that's a great point. You said something that I think I brought it up right before you came on, was the idea of this is Bobby Petrino coming back and taking over the offense, but not the Bobby Petrino who's coming from a FCS school, a Bobby Petrino who's coming from a smaller. This is Bobby Petrino who was, like I said, at Texas A&M this past year, and
Yes.
I would argue that he had a decent year calling plays, considering it really, in my opinion, wasn't fully.
That was a really great point that he brought up too, that you just brought up as well in his interview with Z this morning that they aired on Hogs Plus, was that he went sleepless for months trying to figure out the terminology, the scheme, and how to put those players in the best spot, setting them in those open spots on the field, and that that 10 to 25 yard range off line of scrimmage. Now you get that sped up a little bit with his terminology, Sam letting him do his thing and saying, these are the keys that you have now. It may not be a Maserati, because let's face it, NIL at Texas A&M is a lot different than in Arkansas, but doesn't mean that you don't have the players. You just got to bring it out a little bit more. And that's what Bobby had to deal with whenever he was here at Arkansas the first time around.
Right. Great point. Yeah, I 100% agree. And, I mean, think about it. If you think about it, Blake and guys, what was, when Jimbo was running his own offense, I mean, his record wasn't just much greater than 7-5 running his own offense. So for them, like I said, for them to have been 7-5 and bowl eligible, you can't really knock Bobby for what he was able to accomplish in his time there. Just short amount of time showed that he can be successful even when he's forced into a spot where, well, it's not you calling your offense, it's you calling someone else's. So I'm excited, guys. I mean, I think we have every right to be excited. He knows the state of Arkansas well, and hopefully, guys, he can go out and get Walker White to decommit from Auburn and come to Arkansas.
There is chatter about
huge.
that.
So,
yeah, there is chatter about that. We'll have to
chatter.
Yeah, I hope it comes true. But
one of the things that I think that Razorback fans need to put back into perspective is that 6-6 next year is going to be a great year, and then you want to see the trend start to go back up, because let's face it, anybody out there thinking that this is going to be an 8-win season next year, it's off their meds, man.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, and I don't think it's out of the question for Arkansas fans, for anybody who calls himself an Arkansas fan, to expect at the very worst, year in and year out, a 6-win season. I mean, what do you think, Jason? Am I like? And I say Jason. There's two Jasons in here. So Jason Patterson, do you think I'm crazy by saying that it's not out of the question as a Razorback fan to expect at least 6 wins a year?
Sorry, y'all. I had to jump out for just a second.
There you go.
Did you hear what I said? Oh, okay.
No,
so I said, as a Razorback fan, do you think it's out of the question for us to expect 6 wins each season, at the very least?
Yeah, I do believe so, and that's one of the things that I think Arkansas is going to, the fans are going to kind of expect at first, but I think if you get Bobby's guys in here, that's when you start to see that trend go up.
Yeah, and that's I think all of us are hoping. Bobby was 5-7 as a head coach in his first year. Now he's the OC, he's not the head coach, but it's his offense. 5-7, and then what was it, 8-5, and then 10-3, 11, something like that. So the ability is there. It's just we got to get something positive going, and then hopefully, like I said, the trend goes upwards from there. I do have a question for you, though, Jason. If he can hear us.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Sorry.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And the coach
how if KJ Jefferson stays, how does he fit into Bobby Petrino's system?
Your total's gonna be 4108.
I'll pay you cash up front.
I have cash.
I'm hungry too, man. I'm hungry too. Give me something.
I know, right? I'm at the Chick-fil-A right now. I'm not gonna lie.
$40. What'd you get? 300 pieces of chicken?
Buddy, I'm hungry right now, and here in a little bit, I got a show with Kevin Kelly and Jarius Wright coming up at 7:00. So
man, that's
I got
good
to
stuff
for that, y'all.
I hear you.
Yeah.
KJ fitting into Bobby's system, I think, does present some interesting dynamics.
It said there's invalid stuff on it, so I don't know if it has money on it.
It does. It's like,
I don't. It's not taking it.
All right. All right, we'll let Jason handle the Chick-fil-A line. I know it can be stressful right now, but I will say the in-state talent right now.
sorry about that, y'all.
All right.
No,
All right. Go ahead.
I was going to say just real quick, and I'll jump out of here. I know this is some crazy stuff. These people up here at Chick-fil-A don't know what they're doing. So KJ fits into Bobby's system a lot like the way Lamar did at Louisville. But the only thing is that, first off, Lamar had a hell of an offensive line to run behind, which I think Sam's going to fix in the offseason. I think that KJ will become a more disciplined passer. And I think that that's where Bobby can really hone in KJ's skill as a passer. I've talked to David Cutcliffe about this. He wanted to see if KJ was going to become a passer and not a thrower from last year to this year. I think that you saw more KJ just trying to throw the ball because, one, he didn't know exactly how to operate that offense that Dan Enos was wanting him to run. And he also didn't understand the expectations of what Dan wanted him to do. And I think that was a huge disconnect. And the fact that you were not running the same plays in practice as you were in the game, that's going to screw anybody up. So you have the cohesiveness of what Bobby's wanting to do and having the discipline to become a true passer. I think that if KJ does come back, I don't think he does, but if he does, I think that his draft stock could elevate quite exponentially, even with the 6-6 season, because they see that there's been progress in the accuracy that KJ has, if that happens.
Yeah, I think you're right. In my mind, this is just, my personal opinion. I think he would definitely fit just like Lamar Jackson fit in the Louisville offense. However, I don't necessarily see KJ coming back to Arkansas. I just don't see it happening right now. But that's not to say he doesn't. And if he does come back, I think you're right. I think you're going to see Bobby Petrino turn KJ into a more polished quarterback. But ultimately, by turning him into a polished quarterback, I don't think he's going to still allow KJ to be an athlete. And I think that was just completely taken away from KJ this year. Just wasn't himself, hadn't been himself all season. And I think under Petrino, he would allow KJ to be an athlete, but also be a polished thrower as well.
One of the things also is that I felt like Dan did not let KJ do a lot of, and that you did see Kenny do towards the end of the season, was move the pocket more. You had some errant throws on KJ's part. Let's think about this for just a second. You start moving the pocket with 4 games left in the season. That really was the start of KJ's season, because the first 8 games were a wash. And if you start moving the pocket again in only 4 games, you're still trying to get your mechanics down and your release point and that touch that you haven't been doing for 8 games. So you start to do that again. And I feel like if he had a full 12 games, I think that he would have been had a hell of a lot better numbers this year if that were the case, but we just didn't see it.
Yeah. Granted how terrible the season was, ultimately, it seems like, KJ's numbers, I think what he throws 7, 8 interceptions this year, maybe more. I don't know exactly how many, but ultimately his season wasn't like numbers wise, wasn't like horrendous. Considering the offense was abysmal to watch most of the time, KJ still found a way to put up somewhat decent numbers. What really hurt Arkansas this year was just the absolute lack of a rushing attack. It's just there was absolutely no rushing attack consistently, and again, you can't put that on KJ. I don't think you could put that on KJ. It's just you had no offensive line whatsoever, and hopefully Pittman can right that wrong in this offseason.
Yep. And all right. Speaking of right and wrong, I hope the Chick-fil-A line is calmed down a little bit, Jason. So,
They
Jason,
have.
tell the people where they can check you out tonight with the interview that you
So,
got lined up.
so tonight, if you guys jump over to hogville.net on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitter, you'll be able to find the link. And so at 7 o'clock, myself and Marty Houston will have Jarius Wright on. And then at 7:30, we'll have Kevin Kelly jump on with us. In between, somewhere right around there, also Dudley Dawson, who is going to be at the Razorback women's basketball game tonight, will be joining us live as well. So we've got a pretty action-packed show for y'all tonight. So be sure to head over to any one of those platforms. There are links in there that you can click on, and it goes right to the show. And again, we'll be live at 7 o'clock, y'all.
Yep. All right. Again, thanks for Jason Pattison from hogville.net for joining us tonight. So, as check out YouTube and all that tonight. Hogville.net for that. Sounds like going to be a pretty good interview. So, anyways, hope they let's see. So, Ty said the man's buying the Lord's chicken and talking on a pod. so I know. Especially this time of night can be stressful now. You know, our Chick-fil-A, our little Chick-fil-A here in town's inside of the university center, so we don't have the luxury of a drive-through. So.
Well, since the basketball team scored 75 points last night, a lot of people got some free chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's probably why they're stressing out over there. Another thing I was mentioning is the in-state talent. Warren has a great receiving core that I think they're the 20, maybe 26 class, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 25. But so maybe Petrino, if he's hopefully everything goes right and he's still here, so he can maybe get some more Warren guys because that seemed to work well in the past.
I'm sure he's familiar with that area.
Yep. So now I think tomorrow they're going to go talk to Courtney Crutchfield down in Pine Bluff. So yeah, hopefully, he's a recent decommit. He decommitted, I think, before the Florida game, if I'm not mistaken.
Right before the game started, he did.
So he is so hopefully they can persuade him. Before we got on air today, Petrino and Pittman had a joint press conference, and Pittman did say there will be some more coaching changes. No one really knows on what side of the ball or who or what, so you can speculate, as bad as our offensive line was and how Petrino, he's kind of hard-nosed and he wants a great offensive line, that it could be Coach Kennedy's job, but we don't know for sure. It could be anybody. So we got a comment here from Christian Dean said, "Can't wait for next season, Bobby P." You are correct. Now, with him just being the offense coordinator, I think helps out a ton with him just focusing on the offense. He doesn't have to worry about everything else. He can just worry about scoring points, which is basically what he said in his press conference today.
Well, and I think Sam Pittman's going to be more kind of a CEO kind of coach. He's going to let the offensive coordinator call the offense. It's there. To me, his actual head coaching ability and decisions is a little questionable for Sam Pittman. So I am glad that he's allowing the offense and defense, take complete control.
Yeah, he is. But it sounds like Petrino was kind of shocked that Pittman would even consider him for the OC job. I think Petrino kind of thought it was a joke at first because it was Petrino's agent that actually told him that Pittman was interested, and I think Petrino kind of thought it was a joke. So
I wonder what was said that post-game handshake whenever we played Missouri State.
I know. Well, he did hire Enos over him, so I mean, maybe I don't know. So Christian said, Cody Kennedy, bye. Now, there's rumors out there that he might join the Mississippi State staff. Brandon Marcello, he works for 24/7 Sports. Said it's just a rumor right now, but Mississippi State might be interested in him coming to coach the offensive line there for the Bulldogs under new coach Coach Levy. Now, go ahead.
No, we were talking about KJ possibly transferring, and one of those places that we seem to think if he were to transfer would be Mississippi State. If Cody Kennedy goes to be the offensive line at Mississippi State, do you think he will even consider Mississippi State?
Well, the thing that popped up, I was listening to a podcast that's called That SEC Podcast, and they brought up South Carolina might actually be a destination for KJ too. And I didn't think about it, but Dow Loggins is there, but he kind of runs a pro style offense, kind of what Eno's kind of ran, kind of similar, not exactly, but I think if we had to pick a fit for KJ, if he was to leave Arkansas, it would be Mississippi State. Now, there's rumors out there that Brawls may end up at Mississippi State too.
That was my next thing was he may end up wherever Browse ends up at. I think Browse really did help his quarterback career.
Yeah. So let me see. We've got another comment here. All right, Christian. He said 2 coaches that loves Arkansas. Great show, guys. Thanks for tuning in, Christian. We always appreciate it. Just make sure you like, subscribe, and all that stuff. But yes, Petrino in his press conference said he's always paid attention to the Arkansas games. Like he said he was an Arkansas fan. So Petrino really, really loves the state. Pittman, he loves the state too. So I think Pittman might have saved his face in Arkansas with this hire. Even if it fails, at least he tried something.
Yeah. Sorry, fellas, I had to take a phone call. I personally think that, I don't know if y'all mentioned it. If things go well next year, Sam, a lot of people think, Sam may not have a job. I thought about it a little more and more. I think Sam, if things go well next year, is going to stay another year. But ultimately, I think what this is pointing to, and you can call me crazy if you want, or anybody can. What I think this points to is Bob Petrino is going to be the head coach again eventually. And you know what? I think 90% of the fan base wants that. I forgave Bobby a while back. I was real mad when that happened because I knew what it meant for our program, what it would do. But I'm excited he's back, man. I think it would be great for him to remain to take over that spot eventually. I'm not trying to run Sam off. I was. Now I'm not trying to do that so much now, but there's a lot of things that still need to take place. You got to get some coaches in here to help this offense out, specifically offensive line. You've got to get Cody Kennedy out of there. I don't know if it's already happened, but it's got to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you were in here when I don't know if you knew Brandon Marcello. He works for 24/7 Sports. Said it's just a small rumor, as I call it, that he might end up at Mississippi State.
Talking about Cody Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
And you talk about KJ and the different options he could possibly have as far as if he wanted to transfer, where he could go to. Bryles could end up down here with his brother-in-law at Mississippi State with Jeff Levy. Who knows? The transfer portal season is just absolutely crazy. It's nuts. I think most people are geared up for it to be one of the most crazy portals ever. I remember I was listening to Matt Rule talk on ESPN the other day. Mm-hmm. He said, "Hey, the Nebraska fans, they want change right now." But he said, "Let me warn you, a good quarterback in the portal is going to cost you up front $1 to $2 million." And I want y'all to think about that.
Yeah.
It will cost you as a program nearly a couple $1 million to get a top-notch quarterback in to help your team win. Now, you just spent $2 million on a player.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not including receivers.
He said other programs are currently trying to buy some Arkansas players. So you might see some surprise transfers from Arkansas, and just know that it's probably because of NIL.
I mean, I could see Rocket Sanders leaving.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about Rocket at this point. I could see AJ Green leaving.
Yeah.
But I personally think that you've got a running back that's hungry, that you saw in that true freshman, Augustive. He's pretty good. But you're going to need depth at running back. You're going to need some depth at receiver. I felt like we only had 4 receivers all year.
Yeah.
You're going to need more than 4.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get some transfer receivers in, maybe from Texas A&M. I don't know.
Who knows? But tomorrow is the first day of the officially where people can enter their actual name into the portal, and so tomorrow could get crazy. The next week could get crazy. But as I got to tell myself, I remember when all this, the portal and all this stuff started coming out, I started panicking. Oh no, Arkansas we're not signing anybody. We're not going to get anyone. We're not going to, what are we going to do? I've got to tell myself to calm down. It'll be all right. We'll find guys to get in here to help our team. Whether that means win 12 games or win 6 games, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, speaking of all the excitement from these past 2 days, Hunter Yurchek just threw this out there. We have a new initiative for NIL called the Arkansas Edge. This is where fans can actually donate some money, which is, I think it's tax deductible. And you can contribute to the NIL. They even have a monthly plan if you want to do that. So, Jason, what's your thoughts on this new NIL plan?
We're late to the game. There's multiple other schools doing the exact same thing for a year or two. We're late on it. It almost felt like it was forced. I think Pittman did vent his frustrations with it, and this just seems like it was just put together really quick.
Well, Jason, as they say, better late than never. And I think they said it was up to, at this point, up to $2 million. Someone had, I don't know who it was, if it was an anonymous donation, but someone had matched $1 million that the university maybe gave towards. I don't know what it was.
Hey,
it was
almost have enough to buy a quarterback now.
Yeah.
We need to buy offensive line. We need a,
yeah.
500, $500,000, something.
That's right. Give 4 guys $500,000 and then use it with the Blackstock from Michigan State and see if that works.
All right, going back to we're talking about players. Christian said, "Yes, sir, Isaiah Augusta." I can never say his name, but he is a beast. I want to say Gustav, but I know that's not right.
Augustave.
Yeah. Anyways, whatever his name is, I think he's going to be a great player for us. Especially if he stays with Bobby P.
Yeah, I agree.
Then Isaiah Satanga is the next Joe Adams under Petrino.
I was talking to someone about this the other day. I was watching another podcast or live stream, and someone said, "Man, Bob Petrino sure knows how to utilize tight ends in this offense." And I thought to myself, who he really knows how to utilize? That's the slot receiver. And my mind immediately went to Joe Adams. Is how well Joe Adams was not a huge guy; he was undersized. Came out of CAC. He was a 5-star prospect. Was going to go to USC, but then Bob Petrino got him to flip his commitment to the Razorbacks so long ago. And I remember he was playing. I think DJ Williams was at CAC as well. So he knows how to utilize the receivers. He knows how to get playmakers the ball. That's what I'm not concerned about. What I'm concerned about in the long run is can we get an offensive line back in here again like we used to have? Can we protect our quarterback? And can we get enough playmakers to help us on not just offense, but on both sides of the ball?
So, yeah, the portal is opening soon, and according to the media, it's going to be like free agency on steroids. So you're going to hear a lot of rumors. Some people are going to report stuff that might be true that minute, and then 10 minutes later it changes. So just just be on the lookout.
It's going to be a roller coaster.
Like on 3, they're pretty good about the transfers, and they first reported that KJ was going to the portal, and then KJ himself puts out that he hasn't made his decision yet. So it's very fluid. It can change every minute. It's going to change. So just be prepared for some shocks and some surprise departures.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. We're gonna talk about the SEC real quick. Talk about the 2 new head coaches, with Elko at A&M and Levy at Mississippi State. Do you think Texas A&M made the right choice with Elko over Stoops?
I don't even know how to feel about it. I'll say this: if I was an Arkansas fan, and I personally wouldn't have wanted Mike Elko or Mark Stoops, but that's just that. Who's going to say that Mike Elko doesn't come in and kick Arkansas's butt? You know what I mean? Who knows? This is a tough question. I'm from the outside looking in as an Arkansas fan. I have no idea how to feel about that hire for A&M. I also don't know how to feel about. I feel better about the Jeff Levy hire at Mississippi State than I do about the Mike Elko hire at A&M, because I feel like you've taken Jimbo Fisher and replaced him with a better Jimbo Fisher, if you will. It's not like he was at Duke and was just lighting it. I mean, yes, he had a winning record at a basketball school. Don't get me wrong, but Duke was right here and then just slowly fell off the map by the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to show you who is happy. This is all these Texas A&M boosters. He's getting initiated into a cult or something. I mean, it's now.
I want to tell you that the way this was handled was almost like Tennessee with what's his name, Greg Schiano.
Yeah.
You know, where he was quote unquote announced as the next head coach of Tennessee. Tennessee fans revolted and ended up not hiring him. I think they kind of did the same thing to
it's like
Kentucky's coach.
Yeah. It's like Ashton said, they're kind of equal. You know, there's not like if they wanted Stoops, but then let's say Lane Kiffin wanted to come to A&M, okay, I get it. But you know, those 2 coaches are kind of carbon copies of each other.
Man, they just remind me so much of one another. It's like, okay, we don't Mark Stoops, but we'll be okay with Mike Elko.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as much as they've been paying on buyouts the last few coaches, I think they had to get one where they knew the buyout was not going to be as expensive.
Yeah. So and then so far that's all the coaching openings. It's just 2 this year. Is kind of shocking, but
I want to say this before we move on. I think the Mississippi State hire was a good hire. That's not to say again that he may not struggle too, but I think Jeff Levy. I think at Mississippi State, you better get someone in there who can put up points like they had with Mike Leach, and because you're going to have trouble recruiting at Mississippi State. That's just it's Starkville. Yeah. You know, we got to have someone who can put up points at Arkansas. So I'm not throwing Mississippi State under the bus. We're in the same boat.
Yeah. All right. Well, it is championship weekend. So SEC championship, we got Bama and Georgia, like everyone thought. So
shocker.
So I think I'm pulling it up here, trying to see what the line is right now, but I see Georgia winning this by 2 touchdowns. That's just I know Bama's kind of hot right now, but that lucky bull junk against Auburn last week was, I mean, you know, Bama just seems to get lucky somehow, some way.
But it would be interesting to see Bama win, though.
Yeah, that would throw a
I've got Georgia by at least 10. I mean, if we're being honest too, Georgia doesn't necessarily. I don't know. Georgia beat Georgia Tech by 8, or whatever it was. It wasn't nothing impressive. So I think Georgia wins, but let's not say that Georgia wins handily.
Mm-hmm.
I think Georgia does win though, because Georgia rises to the occasion.
Yep. All right, what you got, Jason?
I agree with Ashton. You know, I see Georgia winning, but it's going to be a fairly close game.
Yeah, Vegas
but-
thinks so.
But man, the chaos that would ensue if Bama wins.
I'll tell you who's gotten absolutely no love this year, because he's kind of flew under the radar for a really good team, is Carson Beck.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's put up good numbers.
Yep.
And no one talks about him.
Speaking of NIL, apparently he's been offered multiple millions of dollars to stay. So why not take it? Vegas has this as Georgia minus 5.5. So a touchdown.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's going to be close until the fourth quarter, and Georgia's going to kind of not pull away, but, like I said, I think at least 2 touchdowns. But now, it is championship weekend, so who do you think will be the Final Four in the college football playoff?
I'm going to let Jason. Jason, you go first.
Or I can go for it. It don't matter. But
Let's see. Honestly, though, I haven't really been keeping up with the CFP rankings just because it's been so depressing to watch football this year.
I understand.
But just off the top of my head, if Georgia wins, Georgia obviously, Michigan. Where is?
Here, I'll give you the top 8 if that'll help you.
Is Ohio State in there?
All right, number 1 Georgia right now. Number 2 Michigan. Number 3 Washington. 4 Florida State. 5 Oregon. 6 Ohio State. 7 Texas, and 8 Alabama.
Almost tempted to throw Texas in there for some reason.
Yeah. Which, the only team that doesn't have to play in a conference championship in that top 8, I think, is Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So they might, if chaos ensues, it could happen.
I don't think Florida State. They did beat Florida, but Florida's not a good team. We beat Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I don't see with their quarterback out like that. I don't see him getting into the top 4.
Yeah, but do you punish them for an injury? I know they're not as good.
It's a significant injury to a very important player.
Yeah.
Where is Florida State? Where is Florida State right now? Number 4.
Number 4, the
5,
last one.
Number 4.
Number 4. Yeah. Yeah, number 4, the last one.
I think they're going to get jumped. That's.
Yeah, I think Georgia's in regardless what happens. If Michigan somehow loses to Iowa, I still think Michigan's in. All right, the one that's tricky is the Washington and Oregon, because they're gonna play each other.
All right. So here's my top 4, guys. I think this will be the college football playoff. I got Georgia, I got Michigan, and then here's the tricky one. I got Oregon beating Washington, and then Oregon in the playoffs, and then I got Florida State beating Louisville and beating the playoffs. Those are the 4 teams.
Yeah.
I've got Georgia playing Florida State, and then I've got Michigan playing Oregon.
Yeah, here's the thing about Florida State. I said, you can't punish them, but we know Jordan Travis is not going to play. So you're giving that 1 seed basically like a bye week if they're the number 4 team. So it's, this playoff committee has a tough decision coming up, especially if there's some upsets this weekend.
Well, also, if they decide, let's say they decide to drop Florida State out, the number 4 team is going to be one of 2 teams. I think it's more likely to be Texas. If they, assuming they beat Oklahoma State, they're the more likely they would jump Ohio State because Ohio State is off. They aren't playing a conference championship. But that's the only other team that would jump to that 4th spot is Ohio State if it's not Texas. So, and there's that.
Yeah.
And that being said, gentlemen, my wife told me like 3 times to come eat supper.
All right.
I can hear my stomach rumbling.
Yeah. We'll bow out.
Yep. I think I'm going to bow out. Who you got, Blake? Tell us who you got real quick.
Real quick, Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. I think it's going to stay. The top 4 is going to stay.
Yeah.
Stay the same.
Not bad. Not a bad decision, but I also, before I get off here, I want to give a shout out, have people go like and subscribe. Tuss Talk with Ty over on his YouTube page. Appreciate his comments and him tuning in tonight. Really good guy, has really great content. So make sure you go give him a follow. And Blake will tell you, of course, obviously what our page is. Give us a like and a follow. And appreciate everybody's comments tonight, and not only tonight but Tuesday night as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments on Tuesday night. Bobby Petrino news was breaking, so we're gonna let Ashton go get something to eat before he flies away. So I was going to tell Jason one more thing. So about if Bama wins, do they jump 4 spots? Do they jump all those teams?
No, I mean Texas beat them head to head. I mean, if Texas wins and Alabama wins, you have to go with Texas.
Yeah. I agree, but it's going to be starts tomorrow night. Actually, I think the Big Ten plays on Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
I think tomorrow night at 6 or 7, Blake.
Yeah.
A couple games start. So,
and if you're a betting man, the Iowa team total halftime. Okay, so their halftime team total right now is at 0.5 over or under. I mean, if you've been following college football, Iowa can't score.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all they need is a field goal, though.
That's right. All right, well, this has been the Hogs Happy Hour here on the 4-Star Sports Media Network. Again, follow us on or subscribe to us on YouTube at 4-Star Sports Media. Like us and share on Facebook at 4-Star Sports Media. Follow us on X or Twitter at the Hogs Happy Hour. And also 4-Star Sports Media there as well. So, thanks for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week.